Okay, a very good evening to all of you who are present here and who are watching us online. So we are going live now, I believe. The IT technician, could you help us? We are online now? Are we online, Adit? Okay, great. So now, so before starting the entire talk show, as the name suggests, it's the concept we are coming up with, which is my journey to become a data scientist. So moving on, I'll just quickly set up the agenda for the talk. So all we have come across and we have been, hearing all these stuff, the jargons, like data is a new oil in the market, and without data analysis, without data science, companies are just like blind and deaf. And precisely in 21st century, if you talk about the latest and the very known, the quote by Harvard Business Review, all you might have come across, which is a data scientist is the sexiest job of 21st century. So the technology is changing with a very fast pace, and which has created a disruption in the market. And because of that, the disruptive technologies is emerging. Like if you talk about in data science, AI, deep learning, machine learning, and if you precisely talk about the hottest skills, which is highly in demand in the market, very high in demand, like R, Python, machine learning, and your Hadoop is a kind of big data ecosystem, which is also companies they do ask. NLP, so they are growing like exponentially. And the recent studies I was studying, as NASSCOM has said, in India at current time almost there are around, I have just mentioned the point, 1.4 lakh jobs remain vacant. And the total demand of the employees would be 5.1 lakhs. And by 2021, it is expected that the employee deficit will be around, it would increase to 2.31%, 2.3 lakhs, sorry. It's a huge number. So since the technology disruption is there, so which has created a huge demand, has been developed. And there is a gap that has been developed in demand and supply. Demand of the individuals who know the right technology is very high, whereas the individuals who know the right technology is very less. And as a result, which has created a huge potential, there's a huge potential in the market, there are a number of jobs which are vacant, which needs the individual who know the right kind of technology. So undoubtedly, data science is one of the most challenging, promising, and the highly remunerating field, which is increasing and which is expanding like anything. So we have, I personally have come across the questions like people do ask, how to start my career, how to start my journey, right? Most of the time I come across the questions like I am from a non-IT background. So I'll talk about you, I'll introduce you with the audience. So I'm from a non-IT background. So whether the data science career is an apt for me or not, or whether it would be challenging, right? So there are so many questions. So considering all these questions, we have come up with a concept which is called my journey, how I have become data scientist, or how I have started my journey, or how I have embarked my journey. This is the concept we are coming up with. And this is the first show, ladies and gentlemen, we are hosting today. And the idea of this entire talk show is in which we do invite our proud alumnus and who share their own journey, their own experiences. They will inspire you, they will aspire you. If you have that inclination to make your career into that data science domain, which way you should choose. Okay, so today without further ado, I will introduce, so today we have Mr. Abhishek Gupta. So he is working as a data scientist with the Farm Easy organization, and he will walk us through with his journey, though he hails from, ladies and gentlemen, as I have mentioned, from a non-IT background, right? He came from, coming from BCom, he's a BCom graduate, and so how he has embarked his journey to data scientist, and what challenges he has faced, how easy or difficult it is for him, right, or it was for him to cope up with that disruptive technologies, so that now today he is moving with the flying colors. So we will also take the questions from the audience who are here and who are listening us, watching us live at the end of the session. So if the time permits, we'll take their questions as well. So a very good evening again, ladies and gentlemen. So we'll start a talk show with Abhishek. So Abhishek a very warm welcome to you for being a part of this talk show.
Thanks, Ritin, and
yes.
thanks for the uh, very generous introduction that you gave about me.
Right.
It is a pleasure to be here.
Brilliant, brilliant. Same here. So now the first question, what I would like to ask, and this is the basic thing. So let's start. Just walk us through with your profile, your background, your qualification. Yeah.
So I completed my graduation in 2015, and I was trying to pursue CA at that time. So CA is kind of a non-technology background. You need to study hard, and you need to focus, and there is very low percentage that you will clear. So I had a fascination towards statistics, but then I came to know about data scientists. There's a term called data scientist.
Right.
Then I started searching which institutes offer these programs and
Right.
what are the top rated institutes. There I came to know across Aegis, and probably from there on I enrolled in this program. I got interviewed. I finally got selected, and journey started. I didn't knew much about data science since before entering Aegis, but in my 9-month duration program.
So we'll talk about
yeah.
later for these things.
Yeah.
So a quick introduction, what you have given. So you hail from so you were doing your CA at that point of time, right? Then you have opted for the BCom. Then so currently you're working with Pharmeasy.
Pharmeasy.
So what about your profile? What you are doing exactly?
So Pharmeasy is an online healthcare.
Because
app.
I believe the audience, they might be looking forward what you are doing, since you hail from that non-IT background.
Yes.
So what you are doing exactly?
Yeah. So I am currently working as a data scientist with Pharmeasy. So Pharmeasy is an online healthcare app. You can order your medicines through our app, and it is a e-commerce like Flipkart, Amazon, but for medicines. Yeah. And my current profile is data scientist, and I work on basically projects like building models such as demand forecasting, building a database, scraping data from web, and converting it into a CSV and downloading it and uploading it to database. So I work on different technologies like R, Python, SQL, and machine learning. I've used deep learning also for one project. So this is my current profile.
Brilliant. So I believe the myth has been somehow, is clear, because there is a myth. I'll be coming on that question as well in our later talks. So because people do think that a non-IT background candidate, it would be very tough for him to cope up with that particular kind of, the technology what you have. You're working with, you said R, Python, machine learning as well, deep learning you have also used. So okay, my second question, so I'm very curious about it. The second question would be, so what made you think so? Because since you hail from, a non-IT field, or typically from a commerce background, right, you are from. So what made you think so to make your career or make a shift in that data science domain? So whether it was by chance or by choice. Again, second question I'll add on into that question. So if by choice, so please elaborate on that.
It was a mix of two. By chance, if I wouldn't have heard it from my relatives that such profession exists, I would not have looked out. But by choice, I say I always had a crunch for numbers. So while in commerce also, while pursuing my C also, I always had a crunch for numbers while matching my balance sheets and everything. So I always liked the analysis, going through the bunch of data and coming out with small numbers that can make a decision change.
Right.
Yeah. So you have to crunch a whole lot of numbers and very big size files to just come across a one small number that can make a decision in your favor. So we use numbers in our organization. Every department is filled with analysts. We have dedicated analysts for every department, and the love for numbers made me go for this career.
Area. Okay. So if I ask you, since you have opted for this program, right, what you have mentioned, so why you have opted for Aegis? Why Aegis? How Aegis happened that actually?
Yeah. Aegis was top rated on third or fifth number by Atix Dimag. It's a magazine, Atix magazine. So it was around 2 months gap, the new batch was starting, and I really liked. First of all, it was 9 months. The other programs were around 6 months or 2 years. So I think 9 months duration is abrupt for this kind of profession. This was the first. Second, it was top rated, and third, the kind of faculties that was mentioned. Many of them were PhDs and practicing in very good companies. So I was totally fascinated. And secondly, Dr. Abhijit Gangopadhyay. I've searched about him a lot on LinkedIn and other stuffs. So when Dean of IIM Indore, I think.
Right. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
When Dean of IIM Indore is associated with a institute, you cannot judge its credibility. It's definitely had to stand for excellency.
Okay. So now another question would be, so since the program is very intensive, it is, right? So you might have felt that. So since the program is very intensive, so what are the major challenges you have faced during the entire tenure of your program in that entire duration of 9 months? What do you have spent?
So program is very challenging. There are multiple courses at the same time, and there are different assignments and projects that you have to work on simultaneously. And for some projects, you have to collaborate with other people.
Right, right.
So you cannot act as if you haven't worked on a typical technology. You should be open to use all technology. First challenge. You cannot think I haven't used R or Python. I will not do this project. So for text processing projects, Python is required, and for statistical analysis, R is a better option.
Right.
I feel so. These are my personal opinion. So first of all, you have to be not tool specific in your approach, and secondly, you have to work hard. You have to give up your assignments on time, and you need to ask faculties if you are not getting something. You need to run after faculties, ask for their extra time, and then do your projects and assignments. That was another task. And you have to keep searching and reading about your profession. Otherwise, which algorithms are in demand, and what are the pay scale going, and what are the right industries. In my time, insurance industry was using this profession very heavily. So what kind of skills you need to develop over a period of time, and also get in touch with practicing data scientists in good firms, so that you have a role model in your mind that will help in your job.
Okay. So like you have mentioned about the projects. So let's come to the project part. So what do you think, Abhishek? So how the projects they helped you in order to understand the concept, and what sort of projects you have come across, you have done during the entire that duration, what you have spent here?
Yeah, so projects, my initial projects were like building a machine learning model for around 10 to 15 main algorithms that were taught by my faculty in this course. And my final project was on capstone project. So it was based on NLP, purely NLP.
Okay.
So that was my capstone project. So I was I was not very keen on working on NLP side and other side, because I found it very difficult.
Right.
Yeah. So, but for capstone, I had to work. Otherwise, I won't get my credits.
Right.
So this, in the sense, forced me to learn NLP, and therefore, then I practiced on Kaggle a competition, and I got it was purely on NLP based. So there, my project came handy, and I got a 13% overall ranking in Kaggle just because of my capstone. So keep on doing projects. It helps a lot, and if in near future it doesn't help, it will help in the foreseen future. Yeah.
Okay. So another question would be like related to the same sync. So how Aegis helped you, right, in total, in order to get yourself in that domain or the company you are working in total, if you just summarize it with the projects part of the entire thing. So how it helped you, what sort of challenges you have faced in the organization, and how these frameworks, the curriculum what you have talked about, so it had actually helped you. Yeah.
So let me be very honest, I didn't know what kind of tools data scientists use till I came to Aegis. So from very beginning, writing my first line of code was in Aegis. From there to getting a job, it helped me throughout the way. The faculties are very nice. The faculties helps us thoroughly inside, outside campus, phones. I'm still in touch with many of my faculties. And secondly, Aegis gives you a right kind of exposure. There were many industry sessions arranged for us. Like Mr. Puneet came from Angel. At that time, he was working for Angel
Broking, I believe. Yes.
So I was very inspired because he was one of our alumni.
Right.
And the other industry session that I was very inspired by was he was working for I remember the company he was working for Kotak.
Kotak Mahindra.
Yeah. So I don't remember the name, but I was very inspired.
Okay.
So and Dr. Sudeep Rao Chaudhary for Fractal. So I was very inspired by these faculties and not faculties, industry sessions, and they kind of teach you what is like to be in industry. So Aegis helps you in developing the skills, but industry specific things came from industry sessions which Aegis used to arrange for me.
Right.
So I think Aegis, had it been not Aegis, or then I don't think so I would have been failed.
Okay. So now the very basic question, and I'm again, it's a curiosity, and also the individuals who are listening, who are watching us live, right? So most of them, I believe, they are from the background, non-technical background, because you are from non-technical. That's why I'm more focusing on that, because I also keep on getting such queries. Okay, that I'm from non-IT background. I hail from that, completely to economics background, from commerce background, from statistics background, from healthcare domain I have worked. How easy or tough it would be? So my question would be the same to you. So being from a non-IT, hails from that background, you hail from a commerce background. So how easy or tough it is for you to cope up with the profile in which you are working at present? So do you feel that is there any kind of hindrance or any kind of problem you have faced since you have come from that particular background?
Yeah. So there are both advantages and disadvantages. Me, from being a commerce background, it was easy for me to understand the business, how the operations work, and how the financial aspect of business. And being from non-commerce background, I did not know much about SQL. I knew about other technologies, but I hadn't worked much on SQL. So the one thing I would like to say to the participants who are from non-IT background, that you have to work hard as compared to the person from IT background. That is definitely a fair point.
Right.
You have to work more hard than them. You can make it as your advantage by working hard and giving some extra practice, and I think it can be done. It is not an impossible task.
Right.
Had it been impossible, many of my batchmates and me wouldn't have been able to make it.
Right. Another question in the same go. So there is a common myth, what I have already mentioned you in the beginning of starting of this session at the very beginning. So it's a very common myth in the market that people think that data science and that big data industry or that particular domain, right? Though it's still seeding up. So people think that it's about coding or about some software development would be there. So do you think that how far it is true as per your, what would be your point on that?
I think coding is the most essential skill for data scientists. If you don't know how to code, you'll face a lot of trouble. Because there, I agree that a lot of sophisticated libraries have been developed in R or Python, the main two essential languages for a data scientist. But at the end of the day, you need to write your own functions, your own piece of code so, to be successful in data science. But it is, at the end of the day, it involves a lot of statistical and business knowledge as well. So it is not entirely based on coding. Otherwise, there would be no such profession.
Certainly.
There would be only software engineers in the world.
Yes.
But at the same time, coding is a very essential part of our profession. We cannot ignore it at any cost. Otherwise, this profession will ignore you.
Right, right. And also I believe that what I feel, I have been working in that particular area. So what I feel is also a passion that also, you know, provokes and lit a fire in your belly that you have to do. The passion is also somewhere.
Passion is the most essential skill.
Important thing, right, right, right. Okay, so now another question would be like since you have been working in the similar domain, right? So what do you think as per the, since you have been working for that for the last that many years in that particular domain, right? So what do you think that what companies are looking at? What are the hottest skills in the market that you think that, okay, these are the skills one should have? Because I believe that who are watching us live, there are some of them, they might be the aspiring data, you know, enthusiast or who want to make their career into that domain. Some of them, they might be studying, they might be at the graduation, because the trends I have been, observing that individuals, they have become very curious about that particular domain. Individuals who are at their graduation, they still, started, exploring about the data science and what sort of technologies and techniques are being used. So what would be your take on that? So like, what are the skills one should have? What companies are looking at? What are the hottest skills in the market at present?
I think there is no rocket science to it, but the thing companies are looking at first is hardworking people,
Right.
and second is enthusiastic people.
Right, right.
See, because if you let me tell you about my interview process.
Right, right.
So I was given 5 rounds. So first was technical discussion with CTO. Then I was given a data set to perform my analysis. I did it in 2 days time, and then I was after, based on my analysis, there was an interview round why I took that approach or not.
Right, right.
So, and I reported my observations in a graphical manner and textual too. So, and after a technical discussion on my interview round, there was a HR round, and probably then I had a discussion with CTO, with CEO regarding the business aspect.
Okay.
Yeah. So these were the kind of, so company, when a company hires a guy, it looks for technical skills first, work ethic, and the third one is business sense.
That is completely I agree. But according to you, I believe what I'm looking at, because I'm just asking the questions considering what individuals they are looking at. So my question was, I mean, you have brilliantly mentioned that, okay, this is what companies are looking at when it comes to observing somebody. But what would be your, an advice kind of thing to those who are at the first year BTech graduate, or maybe who are, just pursuing their graduation, or who are at their second year, third year, who are planning to, make their career or make a shift into data science. So any kind of takeaway for those guys who are watching you, that what are the skills you have to be good at, so that the companies, they can, show interest on.
First of all, you need to know very good SQL. SQL is the key. You see, if you don't know about SQL, you have to depend on other guys to fetch you data and give you. And if you know SQL, you can fetch it yourself. Sometimes the experts send you wrong data. So if you need to check your data, because if you feed wrong data to your model, a machine learning model, it will give you absolute shitty results. So in the sense, you have to be very good at SQL. Then you need to have a flavor for coding, whether it's
and how about statistics? Sorry to interrupt in between. What do you think? That's statistics?
Statistics is also a very good skill that we need to develop over time. So stats, before building a model, you need to definitely explore your data.
Right.
In the descriptive part of the analysis, you need to have a very strong statistics. Otherwise, you will not be able to find things such as outliers and replace them with suitable observations.
Right. Okay. So now you must have heard I started the entire show with the quote that, okay, the data scientist is the sexiest job of 21st century. But frankly speaking, to whomever I have met, apart from you, you're a smart guy. But apart from that, whomever I have met, the real-time data scientists, I found them very nerdy guys. So, but I haven't found any kind of sexiness on them. So how do you define that sexiness, since you're working as a data scientist? So people, they also want to know that.
Yeah, so first of all, it is, data science is sexy for the people who work hard. first of all, and secondly, their sexiness must be in their bank accounts.
Very true, very true. Very
Yeah,
true,
yeah.
very
So in that sense, they are very sexy. So
Very excellent.
their sexiness must be not on their face,
Right,
but on
right.
their backgrounds. Yeah. So these are people who have worked for different companies, have 10
Right,
or
right.
15 years experience, and mainly are from uh, coding backgrounds, former software engineers, or have
Right, right.
PhDs. Uh, so in that aspect, it is a sexy profession. Yeah.
Brilliant. So the final question would be, because I believe, so what would be, see, the people who are watching you, again, I'm just mentioning that thing to you. So who are watching us, so they also want to hear from the experts sitting in front of me, since you're working in the data science and you are a data scientist, right? So, so what piece of advice you would like to give to other participants, the data science enthusiasts who want to make their career, pursue their career? What would be a kind of takeaway for them? How they should start? What, like SQL you have said, but apart from that, any kind of piece of advice you might have feel, because you have to summarize it in the entire way, the things what we have discussed, the challenges what you have faced. So typically, since you are from, again, a non-IT field, so like having hail from that particular background, being a non-IT professional, a commerce graduate, or individuals who will be having a similar profile like you, who hails from the statistics background, again I am mentioning, who are from the BCom background or management background, who have not even seen the C world in the market, language if I talk about. So what would be a piece of advice you would like to give those individuals who are listening us, watching us, so that they can start at least building up, so that they can be easily adapted, and they will have be future ready, because the disruption is happening like anything in the market, right? Yeah.
First of all, I would advise them to enroll for any course like Aegis, and even if before enrolling for this course, they should start considering doing MOCs themselves. I myself is a very big fan of MOCs.
Right, right.
So they MOCs help you in developing skills along with program. So I don't think so MOCs will be much of help without the program. And secondly, they should not see it as a blockage in their part to becoming a data science, being from a non-IT background.
Right, right.
Yeah, so they should work hard on developing skills. Anything can be developed over a period of time with practice.
Right,
So they should work hard
Questions?
along with uh, along with course. They should do their projects, be sincere, and it is not an impossible task. It can be developed, but also be a very good fan of reading statistics and what are the latest tech or analytics strategies that companies like Netflix,
Right.
Amazon, these are very analytics advanced companies do. So talk to people about data science who hail from this background, and on LinkedIn, and be very and first I forgot to mention that one has to be very networking friendly. So apart from networking, in networking, you should attend meetups like Aegis has its own meetup.
right.
Yeah. So and conferences like there was a conference of Aegis
Data Science Congress. What
Data
it
Science
was.
Congress. Yeah. So need to
And there are
attend.
so many other platforms as well, right? So
Yeah.
they have to,
Keep
on
pushing.
pushing themselves
Yeah,
into those
yeah.
areas.
So you have to read about and just plan your journey. So plan
And do you
your-
advise them? I mean, because what I have feel and what I have felt, that if anybody who will be at their third year, who are doing their BTech or at the final year of their graduation, why don't you? I mean, that is my own observation. If somebody can, take a step-by-step process, one by one, like if they start studying or brushing up their skills on statistics, then slowly and gradually, if they pick up, say R, because R is sync with statistics, then gradually if they pick up some the languages like R, and they start picking up some small projects, start like you have mentioned, you have taken part in the Kaggle competition that helped you. So why? So if you can explore more, because you can explain better. So if you can have something to tell them.
Sure. So I would say that at first we should, for non-IT background people specifically, they should start with R, since it is not very coding friendly. So it are very friendly for non-coders. And then as you developed a confidence in R, you can always shift towards Python or any other new technology. And then you should be very focused on developing, I'm sorry, but I have to repeat myself, SQL skills.
Right.
And you should have after covering 2 or 3 months in R or Python, you can always develop new skills, such as learn more about algorithms. And after learning 2-3 months on algorithms, you can participate in competitions and test your knowledge and learn from the fellow participants in the competition, like Kaggle, Vidya, and other platforms for that matter. And at the at the end of 7th or 8th month, you can start applying to the companies and start looking out for a job. So this is our whole journey.
You have summarized. Brilliant. So there are some individuals who are following us, I believe. Somebody would have mentioned that, hi Abhishek, there is a lot of things revolving around data science. IoT, AI revolves around the same. Does IoT, AI and ML revolve around the same? The theme is data science. What do you think? What would be your call on that?
I think there are many new emerging technologies that our data scientists is expected to know. So IoT is not exactly data science, but it is now emerging and developing, and time will come when data scientists would be required to know IoT at the same time. So it is.
But I believe AI and what he has mentioned, ML, is a widely being used. It's a core part of the things are getting automated now. So that is
ML and deep learning are a part of AI, and so it's a very small subset of AI, ML and deep learning. So I think these all things are somehow interrelated at the same time.
Yes. So another thing, like, is there a coding required? Already have raised that question to you, because these are individuals who are watching us live.
I would I would like to mention that not a hardcore coding, but you need to write your own for loops and your own functions.
Right.
So that
this will help them to.
Okay. Not a hardcore
coding. Right. Okay. So okay. Some Vision INC is there. He is asking, how and where can I get contractual jobs, kind of projects what I have mentioned, based on ML, AI. I am a student currently in my last year. That I have mentioned. We do have that queries they are asking. So what would be your
I think
call on this? Yes.
Once you start getting, if you are doing your regular job, you can get offers on LinkedIn, and there are other websites such as TopTal. And
also I would like to add on for that particular query, there are so many startup companies, right? Yeah. Like you have mentioned, like very well said, like if somebody would start building up and brushing up their skills, starting from the statistics, then if they pick up R, and if they go to maybe a Hadoop infrastructure kind of, or maybe Python, right? At the same time, if they have these skills, if they equip themselves, there are so many MOOC platforms available where they can go, and there are so many free material available online. There are government
USA
the website where you can get the data as well. It's a government website, right? Where you can download the data. Data are available, right? So where you can download the data, build up the models and projects, and you can pitch to some startup companies, right? So for a kind of what you call it, internship kind of thing, because there are so many companies, startup companies who are working within that data science domain. So they will certainly help you if you know the technology techniques. So you can approach to them. So probably they will help, I believe.
Yeah. And secondly, your Kaggle rank or Aegis Vidya rank can also
help.
Be a very good add-on.
Platforms,
for getting a contractual job.
Contractual job, very much right. Okay. Okay. Somebody would be asking, can you please tell me some of the companies or the startups looking for data scientists to complete their projects? I mean to say, name some. See, if you just go and Google it, I believe LinkedIn is the platform where you can connect with the individuals, right? So, see, entire industry, if you talk about data science, what I have personally felt, and I believe you will be agreeing on that part, so companies, they're always hungry about these skills. If you know the right kind of skills, you can share your profile, the projects you have done, and certainly you will get a call from them. Because at the end, the certification, I believe it's a piece of paper, but what value is addition you will put on the table by showing your skills, what sort of projects you have done. On that basis, companies, they evaluate you. And like you said, that the way you have started your journey, right? So the kind of process you have been through, they have given you a kind of briefing, then kind of, some projects they have given it to the data, right? So there are 3-4 rounds of things what you have faced, right? So through which companies, they have gauged you, right? So this is required. So companies, they're only looking forward for the skills which gradually an individual who is a complete beginner or a kind of aspirant or data science enthusiast who want to make their career. So my personal advice to them, so start learning, start enrolling yourself with some courses, short-term courses probably, and they can cover and they can complete these courses while studying. Pick up one course and say one semester wise. They can start with the statistics, then gradually they can pick up R, then yeah.
So IBM, which is associated with Aegis, has also its own website for very short-term courses.
Yes.
You can start off from there, having a flavor for this profession and then carry forward.
Very much. Another guy, Sangeet Kumar, is there, who is asking what exactly the math standard should be there for data science aspirants for beginners. I believe what he meant to say is how good a person has to be in mathematics.
Person has to be very good to understand the back end of the algorithms that machine learning algorithms are deep. You need to have a flavor for vectors, integrations, differentiations, log transformations. So these transformations are very important for time series analysis specifically.
Right.
So you need to have a good flavor for all the mathematical operations.
And what would you suggest, how they can improve their mathematics?
There are again MOCs and basically we all have done differentiation and integration, those who have maths in 12th class.
Yes.
So to understand an algorithm fully, otherwise all algorithms you will write 4 or 5 line code, piece of code, and it would be like a furniture. You don't know how it functions. It would be like a black box. So in order to understand the backend of the algorithm, you need to be very good with differentiation and integration for sure. And vectors, how vectors
matrices
work.
And all stuff, right? Yeah. Another guy is there, Gandhi is there. So Gandhi ji Gudla, I believe, if I pronounce it right. So he's asking is, this is Gandhi, okay. Hi Gandhi, currently I am doing job as a big data developer. So I want to change role as a data scientist. He or she might have inspired from you. So what would be your advice to Gandhi?
I think he already, when he is working as a big data developer, he is aware of coding and other things.
Right.
So it would be a quite easy transformation for him if he just learn a bit of statistics, not a bit of, a whole lot of statistics and machine learning. I think he already knows how to code and pick up 1 or 2 languages of his preference, basically R or Python, and participate in competitions along with reading books such as Elements of Statistical Learning, which explains algorithms fully, and or he can opt for any course.
Right. Brilliant. So I believe we have answered the questions people who have asked. So okay, it was so I believe okay, Abhishek. So I believe most of the queries has been resolved. Individuals, they have some queries. So it was wonderful talking to you. So with this, we'll be wrapping up the session, and we would like to thank you from the whole on behalf of entire Aegis fraternity for being a part of this show. This is the first show, and you have just nailed it. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, Ritin, for having me here. It was absolute pleasure to be with you and all those on streaming us live.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you.
putting mathematics into the data of the company and make solving real life problems. It was really interesting course. There was so many to learn, so many things to learn, and all the subjects and everything. Especially the faculty members, each one of them were really good. The placements and everything of the whole curriculum.
From the institute. Really thankful.
I was actually scouting for some data science program, and then I got to know there was very few players who were actually giving this PGP full-time program, and Aegis was one of those.
So I think there's a phrase in English that if you give a man a fish, he'll be happy. But if you teach a man how to fish, he'll be really happy. So that's one thing that Aegis has taught me, how to work with data. So I had an intuitive idea, but the way they have encouraged us and guided us, I think it's a great place.